Today, I am going to show you exactly what that thing is. I am going to take you inside the psychological mechanism that makes incompetent people the loudest voices in every room.
You're sitting in a room full of smart, experienced, qualified people. And then it happens. The one person who clearly has no idea opens their mouth and does not stop. They speak the loudest, they interrupt the most, they have a confident opinion on absolutely everything, and they are completely, totally certain they are right. And everyone else in the room goes quiet, not because that person is more intelligent, but because of something far more primal and far more powerful than intelligence. Today, I am going to show you exactly what that thing is. The psychological mechanism that makes incompetent people the loudest voices in every room. Have you ever noticed that the most experienced surgeon in the hospital is usually the quietest person in the consultation room? And yet the colleague who attended one weekend seminar on leadership cannot stop telling everyone how organizations should be run. The intern who just finished their first week has a solution for every single problem the team has been wrestling with for years. This is not random, and this is not coincidence. This is one of the most documented and most consistently observed patterns in all of human psychology. In 1999, two psychologists at Cornell University published a study that would become one of the most cited papers in the history of social psychology. People who are incompetent in a given area suffer from a double burden. They reach wrong conclusions, and they are completely unable to recognize that they are doing so. The very skills required to produce correct answers are the same skills required to evaluate whether your answer is correct. If you lack the first, you automatically lack the second. In plain language, you cannot know what you do not know, and if you cannot know what you do not know, you feel like you know everything. But here is the part that most people miss. The same study showed that highly competent people consistently and dramatically underestimate their own ability. Experts assume that what comes easily to them must come easily to everyone. They look at their own performance and see only the gaps and the uncertainties. So you end up with a paradox that shapes every meeting, every team, every organization on Earth. Incompetence produces confidence, and expertise produces doubt. The human brain did not evolve to be accurate. It evolved to survive, and for hundreds of thousands of years, the cost of hesitation was death. The animal that paused to carefully evaluate all possible outcomes before acting was the animal that got eaten. The animal that moved with instant decisive confidence survived. When you have limited information, the brain does not flag that limitation. Instead, it fills the gap and presents a constructed narrative to your conscious mind as certainty. This is not a flaw. This is a feature, a survival feature that kept your ancestors alive for hundreds of thousands of years. But in a modern world, in boardrooms and hospitals and classrooms and relationships, this ancient survival feature becomes a catastrophic bug. Human beings are wired to interpret confidence as competence. This is not something we choose to do. It is a deeply embedded automatic social signal. When someone speaks with absolute certainty, something happens in the brains of everyone listening. A signal fires that says this person knows something, follow them. This signal evolved for the same reason the confidence reflex evolved. The group that coalesced around the most confident voice survived, and the group that stopped to debate died. So, we are all walking around with a primitive social operating system that treats confident tone of voice as a direct proxy for actual knowledge and leadership ability. While the expert sits quietly hedging and qualifying, saying things like, well, it depends, or there are several factors, the primitive brain of everyone listening hears weakness. The first type is what I call the permanent expert, the person who has strong, confident opinions about every subject regardless of their actual knowledge or experience. They have never encountered a topic they did not feel qualified to explain. And because they never feel doubt, they never seek more information, so their knowledge never actually grows. The second type is the meeting dominator, the person who speaks most in every group setting, not because they have the most to contribute, but because silence feels dangerous to them. They fill every empty space in a conversation constantly, with opinions, anecdotes, tangential observations, not trying to be useful, but trying to feel safe. The third type is the most dangerous, the confident climber, who has understood that in most systems confidence is rewarded more reliably than competence. They do not worry about being right. They worry about appearing certain. They speak before they think, and when they are wrong, they move on so smoothly nobody remembers. You have met all three of these people, and if you are watching this video, you are almost certainly not one of them. The real question is not just why incompetent people are loud. The real question is why competent people consistently let them be, and the answer is uncomfortable. When a highly competent person is in a room with a loud, confident, wrong person, they usually do not speak up, not from fear, but because their own self-awareness works against them. The expert thinks, I might be missing something. Maybe there is a perspective I have not considered. Maybe I should listen more before I speak. And that thought, that fundamentally reasonable, intellectually honest, deeply mature thought, keeps them completely silent while the other person takes the entire room. Many capable people were taught that speaking with total certainty when you are not totally certain is dishonest, that claiming authority you have not fully earned is arrogant. They were taught intellectual honesty, and intellectual honesty sounds exactly like weakness in a room full of people running on ancient social confidence signals. Research consistently shows that the correlation between how much someone speaks in a group setting and how accurate their contributions actually are is close to zero. Volume and value are essentially unrelated, and yet the people who spoke most were consistently rated by peers as the most competent and the most worth listening to. The medical diagnosis gets influenced by the person who read one article online. The business strategy gets shaped by the person who speaks most confidently in the meeting. And the person who actually knows, who has the experience, the nuance, the awareness of complexity, sits quietly, half heard, often ignored, watching it all happen. This is not a small problem. This is one of the central mechanisms by which human systems consistently fail to use the intelligence they actually contain. Now I need to tell you something that will be uncomfortable if you consider yourself a self-aware and thoughtful person. The solution is not to become more like them. It looks like the lesson should be more confident, speak up more, stop hedging, just perform certainty like they do, and the room will follow you. The problem is not that you are too thoughtful. The problem is that you have confused intellectual honesty with social silence, and that confusion is costing you every room you walk into. You have earned the right to take up space in that room. Your depth, your experience, your awareness of complexity are exactly why your voice matters more than anyone else's. What you need to do is learn to communicate your actual knowledge with the same energy and presence that the incompetent person communicates their ignorance. You do not need to pretend to know more than you know. You do not need to perform false certainty. What you need is to stop being apologetic about what you actually do know. The incompetent person speaks first because they feel no gap between what they know and what they say. Your job is not to close that gap by becoming less honest. Your job is to close it by becoming less apologetic about what you know. Not less honest, just less apologetic. And that is a completely different thing entirely. Their certainty is not a sign of knowledge, it is a sign of its absence. And your hesitation is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of everything you have actually earned. Because incompetence produces confidence, and expertise produces doubt. And doubt, in the right hands, is not weakness, but the beginning of every truly important thing ever built. Their certainty is a signal of what they cannot see, and your awareness of complexity is the most expensive thing in that room, paid for in years of actual thinking. Their certainty is a signal of what they cannot see, and your awareness of complexity is the most expensive thing in that room, paid for in years of actual thinking. The room needs your voice, not despite your depth, but because of it, and it has needed it for longer than you have been willing to give it. So why do people who know nothing always sound like they know everything? Because their brain cannot show them what they are missing, and confidence is the oldest signal our species has. And why do people who know everything stay quiet? Because awareness is expensive, because depth creates hesitation, and because the most honest thing a knowledgeable person can say sounds like uncertainty. The room needs your voice, not despite your depth, but because of it. And the only question that remains is whether you will finally stop waiting to be invited and simply walk in. If this video described a room you know or a person you recognize, the next video is already waiting, and it goes even deeper into the psychology of how we lead and how we let others take what was never theirs.